You're
Hello?
recording. Hello?
Whoa, that just like turned off.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I started recording.
Okay.
Okay. Should I introduce you or should you introduce yourself?
I don't know. It's your interview.
Okay. No, you introduce yourself.
No, it's your interview.
Fine. Okay. This is Melanie Aguilar, my sister. I will be interviewing her today. Okay. Do you think storytelling is important in your culture? Why or why not?
I do believe that storytelling is important to our culture. Um, because our family does come from Mexico, and that is centered around like hundreds of years of culture and heritage, and there's like a lot of history, like myths and like little legends here and then. So, yeah, I do think it plays a part into Mexican culture and how like we view things and like just like how fun it is, how we think have things like centered around them. Like there's stories that connect with religion, and then you have things to remember the dead. So you have Dia de los Muertos, and then there's just like a lot of things centered around that, and I do feel like it is very important to my culture and heritage.
Yes, I agree. I think storytelling it also serves as a means to preserve history and share knowledge within each other. They allow society to pass down traditions, values, and historical events from generation to generation. So I also think storytelling is important in our culture and it plays a big factor.
Yeah, I do also believe like it does tie in people together. If you were to ask another like not even Mexican, just Mexicans in general, just like Hispanics in general, or like people from like a Latin country, there's a lot of stories that do kind of tie together or are based off of one another, and it just really allows you to connect with other people.
Yeah. So, how has hearing stories or telling stories shaped the way you view yourself or others around you?
I believe it's shaped again, like I said, I did answer a bit, I guess, with the previous question, but it is in a lot of our religion. So like you could take the Tres Reyes Magos. There's like a whole little story with that, or like little, I guess you could say it's kind of based off of our religion, and it does shape like the little small things that we do, um, and just stuff like that. Um, and then like things like La Llorona or like El Chupacabra or stuff like that. It's just like things that you kind of just know and you can relate with one another. Stories about like the Day of the Dead and stuff. And then just like recently, we had Coco. And so that kind of does tie into our Mexican heritage and it just kind of brings things like that to life.
Yeah, I do agree. I don't really like hear a lot of stories or tell stories. I like more read them. And I think they also like serve as a way that they like shape the way that I see myself and the others around me because for me, stories have acted as both a mirror and a window. Reading stories has always allowed me to reflect on my own experiences and emotions. And when you like read characters going through something similar to you, it can validate your own feelings and help yourself feel better. And I think it also helps you see others as complexities in the same way stories reveal layers of a character. I think it's made me more patient as a person and more willing to listen to others.
Yeah, and then like I also do believe like with a lot of like of Hispanic or like Mexican culture, like it's like family based and a lot of stories are kind of family based. So again, it's just not just Mexican like culture and heritage, it's also just like a lot of these Latin countries. So again, we had Coco, like the whole thing with that, it's family, like and
Like Encanto too,
yeah, Encanto, I was about to say that. That is, I believe it's Colombian. And the whole story is basically centered around family and how important it is to you, yourself, and how like we kind of see ourselves in that. It does tie into a lot of stuff and just like caring about your family and everything. So
yeah.
yeah.
And How are the stories of our past connected to or important to modern society?
Kind of just, piggybacking off of that, again, there's movies that coming out now. There's just like different ways of like doing things like this. There's movies, there's new stories and everything is kind of centered around that, oh, family, like, is everything kind of thing. So I do believe that is kind of how it connects into modern society because I still do believe family is everything. I care about my family. I have like a lot of love for my family. Um, and I do believe like just being like Hispanic, Mexican, whatever, it's been like that through generations. So, grandma, like she really cares for all of us.
Mhm.
Um, our great grandma, Mama Julia, again, she cares for a lot of us. It's just like we have really strong family ties. And I do believe that connects further into like modern society like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's just like also it's not just like family like that. It's like really deep rooted into like our indigenous past and everything. It connects us.
Yeah, I think kind of like how you said, like stories of our past are deeply connected and important to modern society because they serve kind of like as a foundation for understanding who we are, where we came from, and how we can navigate the future. There's like myths, legends, and historical narratives, and those
See,
like
and it's
backbone culture and
yeah. And it's not just that. We have music, we
yeah,
have food. There's like a lot of these stuff, like festivals or like even like parties. It all kind of just goes back into that, and we still have it into modern day society. So we have the quinceañeras. We have different types of food that we've had, since like hundreds of years, and we still have it till this day, and we still kind of eat it. So, during Christmas, we would make tamales or pozole or something like that. Pozole is like very old. It's a very old recipe. And it has a deep history within it. Um, so all of that just kind of ties back into modern society and how we still kind of use it today. Um, and how we still kind of value that.
yeah. I think you're right. They give society a shared sense of heritage and values, and then we continue to influence modern customs, celebrations, and worldviews within. So yeah. And then, what is one story that has impacted your life and how so?
One story I think is kind of a classic, is I believe is like a folklore, like just like a legend, La Llorona. Um, it's just like really like strong. So like the basic story. It's this woman, her kids, and so essentially she's the one who like drowned them, and then she goes out at night saying, like my children, where are my children? And I just really think it's like a kind of a strong metaphor for like the struggles that we have, like in daily life or like personal guilt. Personal guilt really does kill us. And that's kind of like her whole thing. It's personal guilt. She's mourning the loss of her kids, which again she caused. And then like societal expectations, like a strong mother, like like being a strong mother. A lot of mothers are put in that position where they have to be strong. And this shows like a mother, a weak woman that just like kind of caved into that, and now is displaying like personal guilt and everything. I think it kind of gives you like a little deeper like insight into stuff like that.
Yeah, I think like that story too. It tries to like, I don't know, like in a way, like she is the villain, but like you're trying to also like some people like see that like she feels sorry for it, and like you almost feel sorry for her after that, even though you know that like
Kind of. Yeah.
I think in the movie you probably don't feel as bad for her because she was evil, but in the story you're like, like why did she kill her kids? And then afterwards she felt so sorry for it, you know. So I do like
Yeah.
that story too. And do you think society respects storytellers? Explain.
I do believe there's like kind of like a little half and half kind of thing. I do believe they respect storytellers because storytellers, they aren't necessarily like, oh, let's gather around, let me tell you a story. Now with modern society, you have movies, you have books, you have TV shows, you have like different ways to like just showing and telling stories and stuff like that. So like Again, I think it's a half and half. So people that do make it in like just say Hollywood, right? People who do make it, they end up big. And then, the story gets told. And if it's like a good story, like people praise you. It's like, oh my God, you did such a good job. It was such a good movie, a good book. But then again, I do believe there's the other side to it, where if you don't make it like right away, people are like, what are you doing? Like, why are you still like this? Or like, why are you still pursuing this, knowing it's not going to take you anywhere just because they haven't had that, that momentum with their career or whatever. Um, so there's like some side, and then on top of that, there's people who are in the industry, like with writing books, making movies, that it takes them years to like actually like get noticed by the public. Um, so yeah, I just do
Yeah.
think it's like a 50-50 kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I think it is like a 50-50. I feel like I think, especially in our generation, like for younger people, they like, I think they respect storytellers in the sense of like producers or artists and stuff, because I feel like
Exactly.
that gets their attention more, because I don't think they have like a big attention span. Like they're not gonna, I don't think they respect like the, when you think of storyteller, like someone that sits down and tells stories, or even like an author, because a lot of they don't like to read a lot, especially our age. Like, they're like just a little lazy. They don't like to put in a lot of work for the most part. So I
Yeah,
don't.
they just want to hand it to them.
Yeah, I think like it's half and half. Like they'll respect like art and music and movies, that thing, because that
Yeah.
like fights their interest. But like such as stories and language and words and just books together, like I don't think they respect that, because it just doesn't grasp their attention as much as the other stuff. So I do think
Yeah.
it's half and half, like you said. And finally, do you think the art of storytelling is in jeopardy or disappearing in today's society?
Absolutely not. Again, with technology, like, kind of evolving, we have different ways to outlet it. So it's not just word of mouth, like it used to be. Um, there's like obviously over the years there have been different interpretations for such. But with the way technology is now and how like quick it's evolving, you'll get movies, you'll get plays, music. Um, there's just a lot of things. There's even places where you sit down, you watch a movie, and you have food like based off the movie. There's just different ways of storytelling nowadays. There's people that put in storytelling into like clothes and such, and kind of display the story through whatever models that they have wearing their clothes. There's just different types of way of storytelling, and it's not just word of mouth now. So I don't think it's in jeopardy of going away. Absolutely not. It'll stay.
Yeah, I do think that I don't think it'll disappear because it's such a crucial part of us and like how we evolve. I think it is evolving, like you said, because technology is getting better and stuff, and it's just going through a period of rapid change where there's podcasts and TV series and movies and all of this stuff now, and that's how people share stories. I think some people might argue that it is in jeopardy just because there's a lot of new bands that like they wanna ban what's gonna be told at school, and that like our stories, the new kids, the new generation, they're not gonna learn that, and they might not learn basically what we learn. And I do think that's why it could be in jeopardy if like the government continues to ban stuff that we can learn in school, or whatever books we can read on our personal time. So I feel like that's also a half and half thing, but I don't think it'll disappear just because of how crucial it is to society.
Yeah, and because it is so crucial, I do feel like I don't think it's in jeopardy of going away because even if the government does like try to stop this type of storytelling or anything, we will always have word of mouth. Um, and I don't know how big other families are, but we have a huge family. Word of mouth gets out pretty quickly. Um, and it's only a matter of time before like more and more people know, especially if you're like deeply involved in your community. You'll always have word of mouth. So you may not have like certain movies or like they might ban different books, but you can always speak.
Yeah. Well, that's everything. Thank you for your time.
Cool.
And see, start recording.
Okay.